keep it on. Put your mask on. There you go. No, keep it on.
How do we become a society of monsters? I'm going to ask the doctor about it. Dr. Mark McDonald joins me now. He's a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist. He's also the author of the book, United States of Fear, How America Fell Victim to a Mass Delusional Psychosis. Doctor, I don't know whether that person who was doing that to that child is the spawn of Satan or just somebody who got too scared, but I know that's a difficult video to watch, and it's hard to imagine how somebody running a daycare can do that to a little boy and think she's the good guy, but people do. Why?
This is child abuse, Jesse. A couple of months ago, I announced to my patients through an email, which I also printed out and posted on my door, that I would ban all children under the age of 18 from wearing masks in my practice, just as I would prevent or block any adult or child from coming into my office and putting a cigarette on a child's arm. I see no difference. This is physical abuse of children. It should be illegal, it should not be countenanced, and it should result in social services coming for those adults and removing the children from their custody. This is completely unacceptable. We would never, ever have allowed this to happen as recently as 3 years ago. And if we were to see it happening, any conscientious adult would have called the police. And now what do? We virtue signal that this is good because this little child that's being abused is keeping the adults safe. We are sacrificing our children's lives, their psyches, their bodies, because we, the adults, are scared and we can't handle our own anxiety. It's disgusting, it's evil, and it should be illegal.
Amen. Okay, doctor, this country was founded on people who took big chances, crossing a big, scary Atlantic Ocean, sometimes dying while doing so, exploring the West in a covered wagon, risking all manner of harm. This country is founded on bravery. How did we become such a panicky bunch of lemmings that we will now abuse our fellow man because of a virus? Did that just happen all of a sudden?
It did not. As I explained in my book, which you showed earlier in the image, United States of Fear, my argument has been all along of the last 2 years that the United States and Americans in general have been groomed over the last 2 or 3 decades to be afraid, to be fearful, whether it's fear of toxic masculinity, ecological collapse, Donald Trump, systemic racism, you name it. Everyone in this country has been vibrating with fear for many, many years now. So they were prepared. In March of 2020, when we were told a Chinese virus is coming to our shores and it's going to kill us all, you must be scared, you must be afraid, you must be very, very afraid, and you must give up your freedoms, your basic rights, in order to prevent yourself from getting sick and dying from it. Most Americans went right along with the program. They didn't question, they didn't ask, they didn't use their rational thoughts, they didn't critique. They said, yes, what else can I do to save myself and my family? And they gave everything up. And we're still living in this today. Just today, the Joe Biden administration announced an extension for another 2 weeks of the federal airline mask mandate. We all know rationally that this is not protective. It's causing psychological harm to children in airplanes down to age 2. It's provoking fights and assaults, the likes of which we've never seen on airplanes before in the history of this country, and yet they're extending it again and again and again. Why? To require compliance and control and keep us scared so that we obey, and so that we give our obeisance to a large, concentrated federal power, which is crushing our independence and creating dependency on the state for every single individual American. The fear that has been driving this is the fuel that's been driving this pandemic, I call it the pandemic of fear, for the last 2 years, is nothing other than a campaign for total state dependency. And it's not going to end with masks and shots. We've already moved on to Russia, Ukraine. Now it's virtue signaling about rising fuel prices, putting little Ukrainian flags on your instant messenger memes and your facial images on Instagram and Snapchat and everything else. It went from mask over my face, I'm a good person, to Ukrainian flag on my lapel. And we're going to keep moving from one crisis to another until Americans wake up and realize that this is a strategy of crisis management and crisis control, so that all Americans will break their individual ties with their friends, family, neighbors, church, and country, and just bow down to DC, big corporations, and big media. That's what it's all about.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, The Forgotten Genocide, the first episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.